in view of their relatively small number and their considerable external obstacles constantly placed in their way on all sides, the extent of those contributions deserves the admiration of all sincere men. I am convinced that this is not due to any special wealth of endowment, but to the fact that the esteem in which intellectual accomplishment is held among the Jews creates an atmosphere particularly favorable to the development of any talents that may exist. At the same time, a strong critical spirit prevents blind obeisance to any mortal authority. I've confined myself here to these two traditional traits, which seem to me the most basic. These standards and ideals find expression in small things as in large. They are transmitted from parents to children. They color conversation and judgment. Among friends, they fill the religious scriptures. They give to the community life of the group its characteristic stamp. It is in these distinctive ideals that I see the essence of Jewish nature. That these ideas are but imperfectly realized in the group in its actual everyday life is only natural. However, if one seeks to give brief expression to the essential character of the group, the approach must always be by the way of the ideal. So, the ideal for Jewish people, says Albert Einstein, is they have a bond, and that bond is they believe in the democratic idea of social justice. They also believe in the idea of mutual aid and tolerance among all men. Also, the Jewish tradition, the high regard for intellectual aspiration and spiritual effort. So, intelligence, spirituality, socialism, mutual aid, tolerance. So, don't discriminate. People are going to be different than you. Democratic, ideal, social justice. So, Albert Einstein is saying that the Jewish folks are social justice warriors. Jewish people are a bunch of social justice warriors, according to Albert Einstein. Where oppression is a stimulus. In the foregoing, I have conceived of Judaism as a community of tradition. Both friend and foe, on the other hand, have often asserted that the Jews represented a race, that their characteristic behavior is the result of innate qualities transmitted by heredity from one generation to the next. This opinion gains weight from the fact that the Jews for thousands of years have predominantly married within their own group. Such a custom may indeed preserve a homogeneous race. If it existed originally, it cannot produce the uniformity of the race if there was originally a racial intermixture. The Jews, however, are beyond doubt a mixed race, just as are all other groups of our civilization. Sincere anthropologists are agreed on this point. Assertions to the contrary all belong to the field of political propaganda and must be rated accordingly. Right, so Jewish people aren't just white. They're, probably mostly white, right? But to be a part of the faith, can you be? Unless you're blood. If you're not blood, if you're not in, Pete Davidson said he's joining Judaism. Can a person who was not born into Judaism join Judaism? Because ultimately that, first definition that a Jewish person is one who believes in the Jewish faith. I can't stand religion. And so, in terms of you being stupid, you got a right to be dumb and stupid and believe whatever religious nonsense that you want to believe. But I'm not Hitler. So you want to, do a bunch of ceremonies and wear, Buddhist garb and Hindu and Zoroaster. You're a bunch of Zoroaster. You want to do Zoroaster dances and singing and whatnot. Perhaps even more than on its own tradition, the Jewish group has thrived on oppression and on the antagonism it has forever met in the world. Here undoubtedly lies one of the main reasons for its continued existence through so many thousands of years. The Jewish group, which we have briefly characterized in the foregoing, embraces about 16 million people, less than 1% of mankind, or about half as many as the population of present-day Poland. Their significance as a political factor is negligible. They are scattered over almost the entire earth and are in no way organized as a whole, which means that they are incapable of concerted action of any kind. Were anyone to form a picture of the Jews solely from the utterances of their enemies, he would have to reach the conclusion that they represent a world power. At first sight, that seems downright absurd, and yet, in my view, there is a certain meaning behind it. The Jews as a group may be powerless, but the sum of the achievements of their individual members is everywhere considerable and telling. Even though these achievements were made in the face of obstacles, the forces dormant in the individual are mobilized, and the individual himself is stimulated to self-sacrificing effort by the spirit that is alive in the group. Hence the hatred of the Jews by those who have reason to shun popular enlightenment. More than anything else in the world, they fear the influence of men of intellectual independence. I see in this the essential cause for the savage hatred of Jews raging in present-day Germany. To the Nazi group, the Jews are not merely a means for turning the resentment of the people away from themselves, the oppressors. They see the Jews as a non-assimilable element that cannot be driven into uncritical acceptance of dogma, and that therefore, as long as it exists at all, threatens their authority because of its insistence on popular enlightenment of the masses. Judaism believes in popular enlightenment of the masses too. They're all about Hobbes and Rousseau and Bacon, Francis Bacon, John Locke. Proof that this Newton, Copernicus. You're telling me Copernicus? Proof that this conception Proof that this conception goes to the heart of the matter is convincingly furnished by the solemn ceremony of the burning of the book staged by the Nazi regime shortly after its seizure of power. Exactly. Burning fucking books. What are you fucking Nazis? This act. Didn't you all watch Field of Dreams? What are you fucking, you Nazi cow? You want to take us outside, you Nazi cow? This act, senseless from a political point of view, can only be understood as a spontaneous emotional outburst. For that reason, it seems to me more revealing than many acts of greater purpose and practical importance in the field of politics and social science. There has grown up a justified distrust of generalizations pushed too far. When thought is too greatly dominated by such generalizations, misinterpretations of specific sequences of cause and effect readily occur, doing injustice to the actual multiplicity of events. Abandonment of generalization, on the other hand, means to relinquish understanding altogether. For that reason, I believe one may and must risk generalization as long as one remains aware of its uncertainty. It is in this spirit that I wish to present in all modesty my conception of anti-Semitism considered from a general point of view. In political life, I see two opposed tendencies at work, locked in constant struggle with each other. The first optimistic trend proceeds from the belief that the free unfolding of the productive forces of the individuals and groups essentially leads to a satisfactory state of society. It recognizes the need for a central power placed above groups and individuals, but concedes to such power only organizational and regulatory functions. The second pessimistic trend assumes that free interplay of individuals and groups leads to the destruction of society. It thus seeks to base society exclusively upon authority, blind obedience, and coercion. Actually, this trend is pessimistic only to a limited extent, for it is optimistic in regard to those who are and desire to be the bearers of power and authority. The adherents of this second trend are the enemies of the free groups and of education for independent thought. They are, moreover, the carriers of political anti-Semitism. There you go, Kanye West. That is Kanye West. That is Kanye West. He thinks that the free interplay of individuals and groups will lead to the destruction of society. Therefore, the entire society needs to be a totalitarian, blind obedience, coercive, authoritarian, right-wing boot in the face of humanity forever and ever. Here in America, all pay lip service to the first optimistic tendency. Nevertheless, the second group is strongly represented. It appears on the scene everywhere, though for the most part it hides its true nature. Its aim is political and spiritual dominion over the people by a minority. By the circuitous route of control over the means of production, its proponents have already tried to utilize the weapon of anti-Semitism as well as of hostility to various other groups. They will repeat the attempt in times to come. So far, all such tendencies have failed because of the people's sound political instinct, and so it will remain in the future. If we cling to the rule, beware of flatterers, especially when they come preaching hatred. So just remember that. Oh, you're going to flatter us and then say you're a ball of hatred. Oh, okay. But you like me. But you're a big old ball of hatred. But you... the dispersal of European Jewry. This is 1939, so just what is a Jew? He wrote this article, 1938. That was November 26, 1938. And it's part of a bigger article called Why Do They Hate the Jews? But that's that's a pretty God. That's reminds me of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, and also it kind of reminds me of a goddamn Green, Sudbury Model School guy, Robert Green, Richard Green, something. Tom Green, no, not Tom Green. But Frederick Douglass says that, yeah, there's some people, the Confederates, who's just about authoritarian, right wing, fucking shut the fuck up, get in line. There's people on the bottom, people on the second line, third line. There's a nice crystal clear, right, totalitarian, everybody's got their place, sort of authoritarian big machine running the whole damn thing. And then there's freedom and democracy and, civil society, and let's play in the sunshine, and let's not, we got a republic, so let's not fuck this up. Let's not fuck this, Democratic Republic experiment up, motherfuckers. God damn, America, you're fucking it up. You're fucking it all up, America. This Democratic Republic, everybody did the Constitution. Everybody did the three branches of government. Everybody's doing the fucking Bill of Rights and shit. Did any of that mean anything? Was it just a bunch of barbaric fucking... Oh, the barbaric sons of bitches. Might is right, and the people... And right is wrong. Right is wrong, but might is right. Fuck you. Might is usually fucking wrong, so fuck you. Might is wrong, motherfucker. Right is right, might is always, usually, generally fucking wrong. Because it's supposed to be the last option. So you have Frederick Douglass and Sudbury Model School is just saying that there's, traditions of freedom and individualism and everything that he's talking about here. Intellectualism and, social justice and democratic ideals and social ideals and respect for intelligence and spirituality and, and the rest. So there you go. Albert Einstein. Ideas and opinions. (1938) From Collier's magazine, New York, November 26, 1938.